Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. We are here in the wake of another NFL draft. I would largely consider this another successful NFL draft for the Kansas City Chiefs, but I do want to put this out there that I think that there is only one home run in this draft class, and that would be Josh Simmons, assuming he is healthy. I think everything else is pretty much doubles, okay? And that sounds pejorative, I guess, at the outset, but really, if you have a baseball team and your lineup 1 through 9 is all sluggers who are hitting doubles, and I know nothing about baseball, okay, so let me get that out of the way first as well. But if you have 1 through 9 in your lineup, just Edgar Martinez's, who are going to go out and get on second base time after time after time, probably you're going to win a whole lot of games. And it looks to me like that's what this draft class is, a whole lot of doubles. But that does not mean my opinion is particularly popular. A lot of people I have seen recently, I have seen this on the Twitter sphere. I have seen this in my comment sections. I have seen this in the mainstream media. There's a lot of doubt around this draft class. There's people who say Josh Simmons will never play football again, so that pick doesn't matter. There are people who say Omar Norman-Lott is not an NFL defensive tackle. There are people who say Ashton Gillotte was overdrafted. I tend to agree a little bit on that. There are people who look at Noel Williams' athletic profile and say that's just not a starting NFL cornerback. They've got a little bit of a point. There are people who, okay, well, everyone's kind of high on the Jalen Royals pick. I got to give them that. Basically, everyone. Do you remember who the pick was after Jalen Royals? Be honest in the comments section. Be honest. Do you remember who was selected with the pick after the Chiefs pick after Jalen Royals? It was Jeffrey Bassa. No one remembers the linebacker that the Kansas City Chiefs took in the penultimate round of the draft. And perhaps ironically, Brashard Smith, I might be the lowest in all of media on Brashard Smith. I think it's an interesting pick, but sometimes those guys just don't work out. Those speed back type converted wide receiver running backs. Now, the point of this video today is going to be basically, hold on, because I found an article from PFF from today that has an interesting tidbit in it, and I have made the argument I'm going to get into after this blurb from PFF. I've made part of this argument before in several videos, I think, but I've never made the opposite side of this argument, and so I think that it is going to shed a whole lot of light on what it is that we're talking about. One big takeaway for all 32 NFL teams after the 2025 NFL Draft, Kansas City Chiefs. More mastery from Brett Veach. I know there are those of us among us who dislike Brett Veach and the job he's done. I would say that if you're not drafting well, it's very difficult to make it to 7 consecutive AFC championships and play in 5 Super Bowls in the last 6 years. But Kansas City Chiefs, more mastery from Brett Veach. As simple as it sounds, Brett Veach drafts good football players, and this year was no exception. Each of Kansas City's 7 picks appears to fill a clear and immediate role. Offensive tackle Josh Simmons brings much-needed talent to the line that needed reinforcements. He allowed just 5 sacks across 1,045 career pass-blocking snaps in college. Defensive linemen Omar Norman-Lott and Ashton Gillotte bring pass rush juice, having earned a true pass set grade of 88.3 and 90.9, respectively, among the best in the class. Cornerback Noel Williams excels in press coverage, fitting the physical, aggressive profile of so many Chiefs cornerbacks before him. Wide receiver Jalen Royals and linebacker Jeffrey Bossa added valuable depth at two positions that have quietly needed it. And even seventh-round pick Brashard Smith could be a weapon out of the backfield with his versatility and pass-catching ability. Patrick Mahomes may be the engine, but Brett Veach's ability to consistently hit in the draft is a major reason the Chiefs continue to reload and remain perennial contenders. Now, I think all of that is well said and very, very true. On your screen right now is a list of names. And just off the top of your head, do you know what this list of names is? Tyreek Hill, Eric Fisher, Stefan Wisniewski, Austin Ryder, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, Mitchell Schwartz, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, Patrick Mahomes, Damian Williams, and McCole Hardman. The column next to that, Tano Passanio, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Frank Clark, Anthony Hitchens, Damian Wilson, Reggie Ragland, Trevarius Ward, Bashaud Breeland, Daniel Sorensen, and Tyrann Mathieu. That is the list of names of Chiefs starters the first time the Kansas City Chiefs played against the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. That list of names contains 4 names that started against the San Francisco 49ers the second time around. Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, and Derek Nottie. And if memory serves me correctly, Derek Nottie is listed as a starter on that team. I think he was a spot duty guy. But might be completely wrong. That's just top of my head. So we'll go with what is listed there. 4 names. 4 names are on both of those teams. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Derek Nottie, and Chris Jones played the San Francisco 49ers as starters both times in the Super Bowl. Do you know how many of the names overlap for the San Francisco 49ers? So this would be a good test to see if a team is drafting well. If more of the names are similar, that means that you're having to re-sign your talent to get back to the Super Bowl. If more of the names are the same, it means you are not replacing them in the draft. Those names for the 49ers from both Super Bowls as starters: Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Kyle Juju Fruit, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Dre Greenlaw, and Fred Warner. 3 more names than the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, notably, so the Chiefs have basically half, right? Basically half. There are 7 49ers. There were 4 Kansas City Chiefs. I would err on the side of 3 Kansas City Chiefs, but 4 Kansas City Chiefs. Now, it should be noted that the season immediately after the San Francisco 49ers went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs again, they imploded. They were a bad football team. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs returned to another Super Bowl. So I think a lot of this narrative around whether or not Brett Veach is making the best possible pick with every possible selection, and we still have to hear about this wide receiver who's still, well, no, he's not playing for the team that drafted him, is he? No, he's in Dallas now. And I know Sky Moore has been a bust and a half. Okay. But we still have to hear about that pick. Why? Because so many of Brett Veach's selections have actually worked out. So a lot of this narrative around, well, can't draft. You don't get to go to 7 consecutive AFC championships without being able to draft. A rookie contract in the NFL is 4 seasons. The Chiefs have essentially gone to the AFC championship game for 2 consecutive rookie contracts. The Chiefs' AFC championship game residency is on its 2nd contract. Patrick Mahomes in the AFC championship game is on its 2nd contract. You don't get to do that if you're not drafting well. So I think while and whereas I believe at this point there's likely just one home run in this draft class, I think there's a bunch of doubles. There's no reason to be upset with a bunch of doubles. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Omar Norman Lott is a home run. Maybe Ashton Gillotte becomes an 11-sack-a-season guy. Maybe Noel Williams becomes a number 1 corner. I think his ceiling is a number 2 corner. Maybe Jalen Royals becomes a Pro Bowl wide receiver. Maybe Jeffrey Bassa replaces Drew Tranquill this very season. They have similar skill sets. Maybe Brashard Smith is a starting running back in the NFL. We haven't seen it yet. Guys, that's all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.